Not bad.
You know what's funny, B, is that I know the Warriors won yesterday, and we've got a lot to get into when it comes to them. You wanted to get into the commissioners.
I did want to get into the commissioners and Roger Goodell, and I want to get into Sasaki at some point as well. But Spadoni, I believe, sent us something. I sent this through Adam Schefter yesterday at about 1:02. And Roger Goodell and NFL owners are expected to finalize a multi-year contract extension for the commissioner at next week's owners' meetings in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Goodell getting an extension. Always look forward to the coaches' photo at the owners' meetings. When you see all the coaches in there, Andy Reid with the Hawaiian shirt, Shanahan, who's he standing next to, McVay. The coaches' photo is hilarious. But Roger Goodell signing an extension. And I wonder, and we were discussing this in the thread, I want our audience to chime in on this on YouTube, Twitch, the Xfinity Mobile text line. Don't forget Chuck Cooperstein at 8 o'clock, the voice of the Dallas Mavericks. He'll join us to preview tomorrow's game between the Warriors and the Mavericks. What's up with Kyrie Irving? What's up with the Dallas Mavericks? Is Luka Doncic going to play? But Roger Goodell, right before the pandemic, his Q rating was as low as it could get. He gets booed every Super Bowl, giving the trophy to whoever wins it, gets booed. All day long, all night long. But right now, when you think about the three major sports, and if you want to throw the NHL in here with Gary Bettman, go ahead. I actually think Gary Bettman's done some really good things with the NHL. Roger Goodell, his Q rating now that he's going to receive a 3-year extension, is he the best commission sports? Is he the best commission sports? And is that something we would have said 4 years ago? I don't think we would have said that. I think Adam Silver would have been number one 4 years ago. And then there would have been a who's who between Goodell, Manfred, and Gary Bettman. Now, I think you can make the argument that Adam Silver may be the worst commissioner in sports, and Goodell's number one. Manfred has moved up the ladder with what's going on in baseball.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
And Gary Bettman in the NHL has done some things. So, Roger Goodell, Q rating at an all-time high. Best commission sports?
I think he is. I absolutely think he is. And there's layers to this. Do you remember way back when? Let's go back to let's say 2014, 2015, 2016. The league had a lot of issues.
Yep.
There was the concussion issue.
Yep.
There was the kneeling issue. Whether you think it's an issue or not,
it was huge.
America perceived it as an issue, and the president and him were going head to head. There were CBA issues regarding the expiration of the CBA and maybe a potential lockout. You're always going to have push and pull from the big and small market teams. And then obviously you're going to have rule changes regarding the safety of quarterbacks. But I think the biggest thing for him in terms of his evolution is the discipline aspect. Right. Back when guys were getting in trouble and stuff off the field, and you're always going to have that. And it's always in sports. Let's just also identify this. Society gets in trouble at a certain level. Professional athletes always get in trouble at a societal level less than society norms, meaning they're actually better citizens by the data. Can you have bad people? Of course you can. But if you look at the percentages, they have less people committing crimes in their sports because people are the 1% of the 1% for a reason. But in those circumstances, he was judge, jury, and executioner, for lack of a better phrase. And I think that made him the bad guy, whether it's Deflategate, whether it's him and sexual misconduct with Ben Roethlisberger. Everybody hated Goodell because he was the only one who would decide the punishments. The Ray Rice thing. Yep. Remember when the video was leaked?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Everybody lost their minds.
Joe Mixon. Throw him in that category.
Absolutely. Him removing himself from the punishment aspect and putting a third-party arbiter in place has changed the game for him. I really do. I think that's the number one thing. And then if I look at financial feasibility across the board, there is across the NFL, there is a financial stability for every organization. If you're Jacksonville and you've been horrible for year after year after year after year, A, you're still getting your 250 to 300 million television revenue, and B, America still actually does care about the Jacksonville Jaguars because we're betting on you. Yeah, and we've got two players on your fantasy team.
Oh, we love the Jaguars. They get ratings just like all these other teams. Now,
we don't care if you win, but you get
the financial aspect is there. The NFL has lapped all the sports when it comes to television rating. I think 47 of the 50 highest rated shows were all football games.
And why is that? Because their entire league is sold nationally, not regionally.
Nationally.
Unlike the NBA and baseball.
And they've created urgency in NFL football.
The scarcity
the one
of the
bye week. The one bye week. You got the worldwide games playing in Munich, Germany, playing in London, playing at Tottenham Stadium, having that partnership internationally. So he's grown the game internationally.
Offset,
the other thing,
thank you for all you're doing.
His finest hour was maybe that NFL draft during the pandemic. Looking at the TV screen, saying, come on, that's all you got?
Him having a cocktail and settling down made him more relatable.
He showed personality.
Absolutely.
And I think people was like, this guy's kind of endearing. And he's been around the league forever. I was actually watching the 30 for 30 on the Buffalo Bills not too long ago. And Roger Goodell's on the field before Super Bowl 25 next to Paul Tagliabue out there at Tampa Stadium, old Tampa Stadium. So you look at what he's done with the Pro Bowl. All of a sudden, the Pro Bowl is like, hey, look, the Pro Bowl's not doing anything. They're playing flag football. Let's switch it up. Let's do a flag football game. Let's have individual drills. Now the Pro Bowl looks more appealing. So now the quality of play is better. Yeah, sure, you're catering to offensive rules, but you're trying to fix the game. Okay, replays, challenge flags. How do we make the game better? The NFL's always been proactive in trying to fix the rules and make the game more appetizing for viewers at home. He's embraced fantasy football. He's embraced gambling. I think Goodell has done a fantastic job at flipping the NFL and nobody's even close to touching the NFL.
Well, and think about this. Paul Tagliabue, in his era, you had people leave the L.A. market, and they had the Las Vegas market vacant.
Yep.
I think, obviously, Jerry Jones gets credit for this because I don't think people want to hear this. Jerry Jones is a big power broker. Roger Goodell's not coming up with these things. He works on behalf of the owners. For them to get Stan Kroenke, and I know it sucks for St. Louis, but for them to get Stan Kroenke to build that, stadium in L.A. was huge. They needed to get back in that market. Then they went to Vegas after the Golden Knights, but they went to Vegas. It's been a smashing success.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's been a smashing success. And so I just look at what Roger Goodell has done across the board. Like, think about this. The Jacksonville Jaguars drafted number 1 overall back-to-back years. Is there a team that you're more high on in the AFC in terms of where they've been over the last 5 and where they're going than them?
The AFC South, at least. I mean, yeah, no doubt with Trevor Lawrence and them making the second round of the playoffs.
Right.
Divisional round, no doubt. And Jacksonville, say what you want about that market. They've had some good football teams.
They have.
And when they're good, that fan base, they buy in.
Yeah.
And they sell that joint out. So, and football in Florida, the state of Florida, football's huge.
And then I also think that some of their small, subtle adjustments regarding draft pick trades and also player trades, you've seen more player movement than ever in terms of trades at the deadline and during the during the offseason.
And they've really heightened that with the trading draft picks and the deadline stuff, saying, Major League Baseball has a lot of success and the NBA has a lot of success at the trading deadline.
Yes.
How do we make ours? And football's now a 365-day a year sport. The offseason is highlighted
100%.
When the tampering period starts, when the draft starts, OTAs. And then, by the way, we go goo gaga over the scheduled release dates. Think about that. When the NFL schedule gets released, how many of us are looking at flights to those cities, booking those flights, looking at everything, saying, we're going to go to this stadium, we're going to go to this. They get it. The NFL gets it. Now, let's move on to the NBA. I think the NBA, and they're struggling right now, I think baseball has a chance with the momentum of the World Baseball Classic. If they could just seize this momentum.
I think Manfred's done a good job, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
Well, Adam Silver, has he done a good job? Player empowerment has jumped the shark.
100%.
Now, we all want player empowerment. Maybe there's too much player empowerment in this league.
You need some balance. Like, I think at the end of the day, when I look at consumer friendly, the NFL, like, if you're a great player and I want to keep you, I've got the franchise tag, right? I'm talking about if I'm a fan of a team, I've got the franchise tag. I can cut other people because the salaries aren't guaranteed. The consumer gets served in the NFL. Wouldn't you agree? When I look at the NBA, I feel like, yes, the player empowerment has gone too far, and the consumer gets screwed.
It does.
I don't know who's playing. I don't know when they're coming back. I don't know what's going on.
And then now he's trying to implement this in-season tournament, which who's asking for that?
There's no
We're
sense
just asking for urgency in the regular season.
Exactly.
Forget an in-season tournament. That's not going to do anything because the minute somebody gets hurt in that in-season tournament, everybody's going to go crazy. Also, I think during the pandemic, and I get what they're trying to do with the messaging or whatnot. And I applaud the NBA for embracing it. However, was it too much? Because a lot of people, whether you like it or not, and whether you agree with them or not, they want to watch sports and just sports only.
No,
They don't want the political messaging, which is why the NFL
yeah.
kind of tap danced around it, and we ripped them. Nobody's talking about it anymore.
No.
Nobody's thinking about the end racism signage in the end zone anymore. Nobody's talking about kneeling anymore.
Or Kansas City booing unity.
Nobody's talking about
But
nobody wants that. So I think, and we don't talk politics. I refuse to talk politics in public. It gets people irate.
Well, it alienates people. And I do think that there's like we're out and about. You and I are. I think that there are times when there are real political things that intersect in sports, and those times, I do think it's necessary to pause and take a step back and be reflective. But I do think the majority of time, I think our audience has told me, whether it's in person, online, whatever, I come to sports to get away from those things.
Right.
That's what they say. Now, like I said, are there times when things intersect? Absolutely.
Right.
But I do think having those things, face front in your grill at all times, I think it does put people off.
And I think Adam Silver did a poor job of putting his players in a position to where all of a sudden, LeBron James is a great basketball player. And you put him in a boss spot by making him be a spokesperson for some of these political ideas. Look, I love what LeBron James does in terms of schools in Ohio and what he's done for kids.
It's an amazing
community,
things off the court.
Off the floor,
Yeah.
you can't say a
He's
bad
a great
thing about LeBron
philanthropist
James.
and a
No
community
doubt about
man.
that.
You have to give him
no
his
doubt
respect.
about that. But you put these guys in a position to where they need to be the voices. And a lot of people rip Michael Jordan for not doing, quote unquote, not doing enough by not speaking his voice. Well, now you got these guys speaking their voices, and now they're getting ripped by the highest offices in terms of politics, in terms of Fox News. And some people may say, who cares? But that puts them in the bad light. That kills their Q rating or whatnot. And then the whole China business or whatnot, what happened with that? The NBA took a hit there. So
a hit? I think a lot of people that were looking for a reason to hate the NBA used the China thing as an excuse to further cement their position. And I think we can't also, as we talk about the harmony amongst owners in the NFL, and I'm sure, look, it looks harmonious on the outside. I'm sure New York hates, for example, the Houston Texans or whatever. Like, there's always going to be these squabbles amongst these ownership groups. There is a huge, quiet divide between the small market teams like in Oklahoma City and the Golden State Warriors. You hear it every year. Why do you think the taxes are so penal? Why do you think that the luxury tax situation is set up the way it is? These and if you don't think the top dogs hate the people that aren't spending, you're kidding yourself.
No doubt.
You're kidding yourself right now. Like for inside NBA circles, you know what people say about Michael Jordan as an owner, specifically as an owner? He's cheap as hell. He refused to retain one of his point guards because he wanted to save money and got another point guard who was $5 million less to keep him out of the luxury tax. It had nothing to do with basketball.
Right. It was all about business. Now, in terms of basketball, it turned out to be the right decision because Kimball was done. Kimball Walker was done after that. So it was actually turned out to be a great decision by Michael Jordan. And then he ends up giving money to Gordon Hayward. When you think about the Terry Rozier and Kimball Walker, just a quick aside, it turned out to be a great decision. Kimball Walker was done.
No,
imagine if he paid that money.
No, I know.
He did that with the purpose of staying at the tax.
That was the whole point.
Yeah, no doubt. But it actually worked out in his benefit. So it's tough for me to crush Jordan. Yeah, it was a business decision, but it was the right business decision.
One of the few that he's made.